Let's uncover the secrets behind a career with purpose.
Join us as we speak to people that turn their biggest passions into their life's work.
I love it. And inspire you to become the superhero of your own story. Our guest today is Christine. Welcome to our podcast. We're super happy to have you. She's a work-life balance coach and burnout prevention expert, and she helps people find balance between their ambition, purpose, and enjoying their life, basically. Martin, shall we ask our famous energy question?
Yes, definitely. So, Christine, we like to start every podcast with this question. What gives you energy outside of work?
Oh my God, I love this question. And I love that we're starting off with this. So I love hugs. That's why, when I came in here today, I hugged everybody because
I did notice.
My energy gets amplified when I get hugs. I love dancing bachata. Every single time I dance, I just get energy from that. So sometimes before calls, I do dance parties too. So that happens a lot. I just close the curtain and then I'm going crazy. So that's what brings me energy, and also deeper conversations. I'm always going to be the one that throws in deeper connection questions. I'm let's cut the crap. Let's talk about your deepest fears and what would you do if you had all the money in the world and stuff like that. That gives me so much energy when people actually open up. So there's a long list of stuff, but I love that.
What would you do if you had $1 million question coming in?
Ooh, I have the answer ready. I'm so ready for that.
Love it.
Love the bachata piece, honestly. Dancing is amazing. It does bring energy. Do you dance between your work meetings, just during the day, just to get some blood flowing?
Yep, I dance whenever I can.
Amazing.
So sometimes I start the morning with dancing. It depends. My morning routine always looks different based on my energy. But usually when I have a meeting that I don't really feel energized for, that I don't want to do, or that I don't want to be on, or that I feel some type of way about it, I just turn on some Latin music, reggaeton, whatever, or R&B, hip hop, whatever I need that day. And I'm just doing my thing, and then
just grooving.
Yeah, exactly, just grooving. And I have all these dance moves, I'm the queen on the dance floor.
A little twerk, a little.
Yes, whenever I feel like it. And then in the evening, I'm literally the one. I'm unapologetically closing my laptop, going to bachata. Perfect. I'm cool. Off. I'm dancing now.
Okay, dancing is your life. That's pretty clear.
Yes,
super cool.
Yeah.
And if looking back at your background and how everything started, what was maybe you could briefly share your story. How did you basically come to being an energy coach, a work-life balance coach?
Yeah, 100%. So I was always this kind of person who had big dreams and a big vision, and I always wanted to create impact. But I also wanted to nap. And I also wanted to travel. And I also, I have this huge list of things that I want to do in life that have nothing to do with my career or the impact that I want to have. So I always wanted to find that kind of balance. And it became very apparent to me so I started my first business that was virtual assisting and digital business manager type of work next to my studies. And that kind of worked well.
And you were how old?
I was 21 when I started that.
Okay, wow.
Because I knew pretty early on I wanted to be able to work online and travel. So I kind of used the safe space as a student. I was living in the Netherlands. I was studying abroad, and I'm okay, I want to keep doing this. So I'm just going to use all of my spare time to make that work in a way. Wow. And also the pandemic happened. So I literally had no social life after my first year in my studies anyway. So I used all of that time. But then right after, I wasn't truly fulfilled by what I was doing. I always wanted to become a coach and a trainer. I just love the skill set that you get to use for that and the impact that you can have. And because I was in the online world so much, I was really occupied and consumed by all of this. Make 6 figures in 6 months. And now you've been in business for this long. You should make this much money. And I'm okay, well, now that I have all of this experience, now as a coach and a trainer, I need to make X amount of money in 6 figures in 6 months. So I basically took 6 months to just focus on the business. I even took some time off my studies for that. And I was too obsessed with it, with the money and with the time frame. And I did stuff that I would have not otherwise done, I guess. And I was just following other people's advice of what to do and how to live and what not to do.
What do you mean by the things that you wouldn't have done?
Well, there's a lot of strategies in business about, you need to send 100 DMs every day, or you need to it's so boring.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's certain strategies that would potentially get you to the next level.
Exactly. Like things that they would tell you, this is going to work. Like if you just do this consistently, this is working. And like if you just build that funnel, this is going to make you $1 million in 2 days. And it's like,
okay. And the people who were following probably were more like business focused people.
Yeah.
This type of.
Yeah. And I was also part of like 2 different programs. So I was basically hearing 2 different perspectives and I was implementing all of these. And then also what I implemented for my other clients as a VA and as a DBM. So I was basically kind of like, I had a conflicted strategy that was part of the problem too.
Let's clarify very quickly, what is VA and DBM?
Yes.
So that everybody understands.
Thank you for that. Yeah. The VA is the virtual assistant and a DBM is a digital business manager. So I basically do anything and everything that you could use for an online business, starting from online marketing to building funnels to sending emails, writing newsletters, creating the strategy for the next couple of years, stuff like that, hiring new team members, everything. So yeah, after those 6 months, I saw 0 results, nothing. And I was empty. Like I was empty. It was not like I worked 60 hours per week or 70 hours per week, but I just felt so disconnected from myself. Like I completely lost why I was actually doing that. And I didn't even see results. Like I had no money to show for it. Like there was nothing that was worth it. And I had to reconnect with that. I want to find the balance between ambition and enjoying my life and living my life, because that is not why I started my business.
So you basically lost purpose in what you were doing at that moment.
Exactly. So I basically took a step back and I was like, I need to give myself the time to reconnect. And during that time, I watched a video about energy and all the tools that impact your energy. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting.
We're talking personal energy here, not like solar systems and like.
We're talking the energy that you have for work, the energy that you have
not
to
like
do stuff.
True.
Thanks for clarifying. Yes, true. Like solar when you have panels. Your energy.
Yeah.
So I watched a video about solar panels that changed my life.
Yeah. I mean, good.
True. True. I don't want to say anything bad about solar panels. So like, definitely it could change somebody's life.
Definitely.
But I basically watched that and I said, cool, like in theory, this sounds really good. This sounds like a different way of working if it's based on energy, not based on time. So I made an experiment out of it because I like to make things tangible. So for 8 or 9 months, I tracked my own energy. And every month I added my own tool, like the circadian rhythm, like the 24-hour sleep-wake cycle, my female cycle, stuff like that. Also some astrology, like spirituality tools at some point, sleep. There's so many tools that impact your energy. But I basically did that and I tracked it for so long. And that is where I really truly learn about how my body works and when I'm supposed to push myself and when I'm supposed to rest. And how all of this is like a cycle and everything has a season. And for me, I found the perfect balance between, okay, I'm working on my big vision, I'm working on my career, I'm working on my business, and I'm resting and I'm dancing bachata and I'm hugging people and I'm getting to know new people and traveling and all of these things.
And taking naps.
Every day. I take naps every day. Yes. And then also, by the way, this balance is not 50-50 and it keeps changing. But I now have the tools to change it accordingly to my season and to what feels good. I'm still making progress, but I'm also still napping.
But let's even backtrack there because, I mean, you mentioned, like being a VA and a digital business manager and all these things. And, starting your business at like 21 years old, like that's very young to start a business, generally speaking, compared to what like, normal people would consider a good time to start a business, if there even is a good time, or like sort of what the mainstream understands. How did you even, like, for example, find out about like being a virtual assistant or like a digital business manager?
Yeah, why didn't you like party hard and like travel, but somehow you decided to start your own business, being responsible?
Hard,
I know I'm a weird person. No, so when I was 19, I went abroad for the first time. So I went to the US and worked as an au pair.
Okay.
And during that time, I got to travel a lot. I got to live in a different country. And I just enjoyed seeing how other people designed their day. like American culture is still very different than Austrian culture, right? So living with a family and getting to know Americans, it was just like an eye-opening experience for me. I'm from a village with 2,000 people, so every day is the same. And when I went abroad, it like opened my eyes to all of the different possibilities. And I was like, I need this for my own personal growth. I want to keep doing this. I want to keep seeing places. And for me, it was not about the sightseeing. It was about the growth that happened for me personally. So I decided during that time already, when I was 19 years old, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I am going to start a business. So when I came back to Austria, I had 6 months to kind of save up money because I thought, well, the easiest way to go abroad is to study abroad. So I worked for 6 months in a corporate job, and that was the final kick in the ass, because that job was soul-sucking in all kinds of different ways. One of my core values is growth and sustainable learning. At that kind of job, I had to work for 30 minutes per day and then nothing. So I was just sitting there, literally wasting my life. And I was like, I don't want that. Like, this is my final kick that next to my studies, I need to make this work. And I had a friend who kind of like has the same ambition. We did some research. We found out about digital nomads, you know, like working online and traveling. And we were like, wow, that is exactly what we want to do. And we did some research, and I sent her stuff. She sent me stuff. And after all the influencer bullshit, I didn't want to be an influencer. She sent me this how to become a virtual assistant course. And I'm like, this is the first thing that doesn't sound scammy. I was a bit hesitant because you never know with these things, and I never invested in myself. It was like 500 euros at that point, which was a lot because I was literally draining all of my savings to move to the Netherlands and, you know, furnish an apartment.
You're a student, and it's not a lot, right?
Exactly. So, but yeah, I'm super happy. That was one of the best decisions in my life to invest in that course. It took me like 3 to 4 months to learn the skills. Then I did a lot of work for free because I wanted to see, first of all, what do I like? What don't I like? With whom do I like working with? Like, you know, I don't want everybody to be my client.
Definitely.
And I also needed to figure out, like, how do I do discovery calls? Like, how do I create a portfolio? How do I have clients, like send out contracts and all of these things, like all of these foreign concepts. So I basically allowed myself to have enough time to learn. So all of this time next to my studies, this was like a learning experience. Yeah. And then once I had a couple of clients, like a handful of clients on the side, I was like, okay, let's go to the next thing. And then I did the digital business manager certification, going to the next step. So whatever I did, it was always like very slow and very strategic. So I know my goals, and then I take like slow strategic action.
Wow.
But that's funny because you talk about the whole being, how do you say, this like slow and steady approach. It's, for a lot of people, I think very difficult because there's also almost like a perfectionism that's associated to it, right? And, you know, we talk like, especially in this field around like either entrepreneurship or business, it's sort of like, you know, fail fast. Like you gotta kind of get an idea, and then you have to get it up and as quickly as possible. You have to test it as quickly as possible so that you can go through the most amount of strategies as quickly as possible to figure out the one that works, right? But it sounds like, especially at a young age, you were already quite like disciplined in your approach. And like, where does that come from? Is that like, have you always been like this, or is that something that you feel like you should have just gained over time through experiences? And
so I think part of it was I kind of had that already because I was so motivated by my bigger vision of what my life could look like, that I was like, okay, I understand that I need to take action to get there, but I also understand that I'm doing all of this for me, and I need to be in the present. Like, I can't just move abroad and not enjoy living in the Netherlands, right? I just moved abroad again. Like, I wanted to date people, and I wanted to live student life, and I wanted to go out with my friends. So I needed to find my own balance there. But also the second thing is, this is a bit personal, but like when I was 16, I went through a phase of depression, and I had to get myself out of it because there was nobody who could help me. Like, everybody at this stage was kind of occupied with their own things. I had to get myself out of there. And I kind of naturally was drawn to psychology, self-improvement, all of these things. There was this one day where I was like, okay, I can't take this anymore. It's going in a direction that I don't want it to be.
Yeah.
I need to change something. And I wrote everything down that was bothering me, that was going on in my head. And from that moment on, I tried to take action to change that. And once I was more aware of what was going on, like mentally and emotionally, I kind of like, this might sound a bit spiritual and not relatable, but I got certain hits or ideas of things that I should do. For example, all of a sudden I felt like writing down what my goals are for like the next couple of years and like find pictures that would work with the goals, like basically a vision board. I didn't know it was a vision board. I just felt like I had to do that for me to have that motivation to do something. And I still have that vision board in my room, by the way. Like it's still hanging there in my room in Upper Austria because I wanted to be a reminder for me that I started there. And then it kind of like grew.
Yeah.
And of course, these goals were not what I have now. Like my vision board looks different. It was like improving my English and like living in the US, stuff like that. Becoming a coach.
Yeah.
That was my first vision board, but yeah.
So it sounds it came to you like quite naturally, like you were wired to think this way. And it's fascinating to hear that you really like have your goal and you take actionable steps towards it. Like when I hear something like this, for me is quite hard to relate because I have a lot of ADHD characteristics, let's say. And for me, it's hard to, even though like I see a goal, I know exact steps that I need to take. But then my brain cannot just take 1, 2, 3, 4. It has to like wander around all over the place. And like, it's really hard to reach that one step or second step. Like, what do you say to people for whom it's maybe harder to see this clear path?
Yeah, it's good that you're saying that. And I also want to take this as an opportunity to say, whatever I say here is not I did that, so you need to do that too. That's not what I do, and that's not how it works, because everybody is different. As you said, like goals, the way I set them with vision boards and stuff like that, that doesn't work for everybody, especially if you have ADHD. There's different ways to approach goals. So what I usually do in my work anyway as a coach is I need to figure out what works for you. Like I need to help you, give you the exercises and tools so you can figure out what works for my life.
Yeah.
So just because I'm doing vision boards and I'm taking these like actions, and it doesn't mean that you do the same thing and it works for you. It might actually be worse for you if you do that. If you're forcing yourself to do something that's not natural for you. For you, it might be natural to just do all of the things at the same time, but allowing yourself to do that might be the missing part that you need, right? There's so many people who just set goals in a very different way than what we've seen on social media or what gurus say that you should do, right? Yeah. And then you're like, oh my God, is something wrong with me? Like, I'm not getting this, like this is not working for me. But you're not the problem. You just have a different way, and not everybody's talking about that kind of way. So what I also work with is a tool that works for other kinds of people that don't really relate to like SMART goals. I mean, I also don't like SMART goals. I don't think they're effective.
Smart.
But yeah, exactly. I don't think they're smart.
Being specific, measurable, attainable,
exactly,
or realistic,
yeah. Timely. Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah. Because the thing is, smart doesn't include your humanness, and it doesn't include seasons of life at all.
Energy as well.
Your energy at all. Not very smart. Not very smart.
No.
We agree. So I came up with like an experiments dashboard. It's based on the lean model as well. Like build, measure, learn. And then it's a cycle, right? So with experiments dashboards, it's basically you don't set a goal, or you can set a goal, but you basically make an experiment out of it. So it's like, what do I want to look into? What do I want to experiment with? Okay, maybe my goal is to, lose 10 pounds. Then you write down all the different ways that you can think of how you get to lose those 10 pounds. It doesn't mean that you're going to do them, but you just brain dump everything that you think you could do. Like exercise more, like going to the gym, going for a walk, dance bachata. Good way. Eat healthy, like whatever. And then you make it more specific in a way. And then you write down what would be the high impact actions out of all of these things that I could take to lose 10 pounds, high impact actions, meaning what is the fastest, most efficient, easiest, but also most sustainable way for me to take action on this? And then you figure out, okay, what could get in the way of this, right? And then the last thing, which is the most important thing, you set a time when you check in. Like you don't set a date of like, okay, by May 21st, I want to lose 10 pounds. No, you say, okay, I'm doing these 3 things. Like I go to the gym twice per week. I'll try to eat more broccoli, like once per week. I don't know. And I'll try these 2 things for 2 months. In 2 months, I'm going to check in with myself. And I'm going to ask myself, did this work? How did it feel? Do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to stop doing this? Is there anything else I want to add to this, right? It's like a check-in point, a reflection point. It's not a, you need to get this done by. It's a, let's see how it's going and then adapt on the way.
Yeah.
And that is the lean approach with like, you build something, you try something, you measure it, you learn from the feedback, from your internal feedback, but also external feedback. And then you build it again, and then you do the whole thing. And that's basically what life is for me. It's like a huge experiment, or like small experiments in all the areas of my life to see, does it actually work? Do I like it?
This is literally, sorry, I just want to say, because it's literally how startups are built.
Exactly.
Like you literally try something out, you test, you measure, you see if it works or no, and then you pivot if necessary.
And I don't know why we don't use this in life too.
Exactly. I'm sitting right now like, wow. Yeah, it's so applicable.
Yeah.
But because the way that you described it is so clear, and I'm just like, oh, totally, like lose 10 pounds. Like that's so easy, right? Like when you describe it like this, but you know, that first part of after setting the goal, but looking at, you know, what are the like lowest hanging fruit, easiest, highest impact, all of those things that you mentioned, to me, like, I think that that's the hardest part. Like, how do you define what is like, because, you know, there's a reason why everyone on January 1st gets a gym membership, and then those gym memberships never get canceled, but no one actually goes to the gym, right? Yeah. Like, because people are optimists, you know, like built in. It's like they believe that they can do something more than actually their energy allows them to in the context in which they live. And there's certain habits that are also formed that like make that harder. So how do you actually define the thing that is like realistic? So
there's a lot of things I want to say. I think we could do a whole podcast just about this, because so what I see is there is this obsession with goals, especially 1st of January, like end of the year, everybody is doing that because it's like a societal thing in a way. But then most people don't define their why. Like, why do I even want to do that? Like, their motivation is not big enough. Maybe you want to lose 10 pounds, but your why is not big enough. Like, okay, maybe for that one guy, I don't know, maybe I think he will find me attractive if I lose 10 pounds. Like, that's not a good why. You're not going to keep up with that. Yeah, no, it's very extrinsic. Not. But if the goal or if your why is to be healthy, to feel confident, to feel strong, you're going to be like, okay, this is an intrinsic motivation and I actually want to do that. That's going to be a different motivation. And then you're going to have a different perspective on what is possible. That's the first thing. The second thing is there's fake urgency going around when it comes to timelines. We get fed that you have to do something fast. With most goals, you have to do it slower and you have to do it for longer than you think for it to make sense, for it to work. Like, we think, especially in business, that if you don't do it fast, you're going to lose momentum. But we forget that you chose entrepreneurship, you chose your career, you chose to be a business owner for the rest of your life, or until you decide to do something else. Most business owners that I work with, or most entrepreneurs that I talk to, they seem like they decided to do this for 6 months. Based on their actions and based on how they work and based on how they like get in it and like don't do anything else. It's like, how long do you think will you keep doing this? Because the way you're doing this right now is not sustainable. So to your point, people are not realistic with themselves when it comes to timelines. They don't give themselves time because everything we see on social media is fast. It's like how you can reduce fat in 1 day, how you can build a business in a month, how you can make $1 million in 3 months. All of these things are unrealistic. They are not possible. Like those experts that say that you can do this fast, they leave out all their actual learning experiences that they had before, right? Maybe they wrote one post that made them 10K, but they're leaving out all the time that it took them to position themselves, to build a following, to write content like that, to create graphics like that, to have a messaging like that, to even start the business, right? All of these things, those take years, years. And most of these things, most of the goals that you have require certain skills and they require certain identity change. Those things take time. Those things take years, way longer than we think. And that's why people get upset, because they think it needs to happen fast. And the third truth about this, is most of the things that you need to do to achieve a certain goal, they're boring. They're boring. There's no drama about it. Like I just go to the gym 3 times per week. Will I see progress next week? No. Will I see progress in a year? Maybe. Will I see progress in 5 years? Of course. Do I have those 5 years? Yes, if I give them to myself, right? But if I'm like in my mirror every day, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, that this is not going to work. And then you're giving up. Exactly. And same thing with the business. When you're so obsessed with client goals or money goals, like hitting certain amounts of money in a certain time frame, or hitting certain impact goals, because we're talking about impact today too, right? If you're obsessing over timelines, you're not gonna fulfill your goals. You're not gonna achieve that because you're gonna give up way before you're actually gonna see the results.
Yeah, and also one thing that you mentioned that I find super interesting is how a lot of it kind of comes back to your understanding of yourself and like listening to yourself. And how, you know, in your experience after going through depression and, you know, you have this impulse to like make something that to you is intuitive, but is actually considered a vision board, right? And I have the feeling that a lot of what happens also for people, for example, that might set goals, but they have ADHD, and then actually there's like all this stuff on social media that's telling them you have to do this like this. You know, we kind of get stuck in the cycle of just like not trusting ourselves and not listening to ourselves. Because for a lot of us, like we were just never taught to do that, right? Like you live most of your childhood listening to others and not learning to like understand your intuition and your feelings and, you know, all of these different things. And from all the people that we've also spoken to, from, you know, alumni of the program or just people in this podcast, there's at the end of the day, like this, the impulses that your like body gives you are the ones that like need to be listened to, but we usually don't understand the language, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And that's just a huge, you know, like that's maybe the biggest factor that like doesn't allow people to actually create those goals for themselves, because, well, you're just not listening to how your body is telling you to reach them, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, we've been taught to look left or right for advice. We've been taught to look left or right for like, tell me what to do. I don't know, because that's literally what school is, right? We have a teacher and they tell you what's right or wrong. And if you get an A or a B or a C, and then when you get out of school and you get out of the system, you get out of the university, you're like, somebody tell me what to do. Like there's nothing. Seriously. And that is also with goals. And like when you're taking action, you're constantly trying to get validation for it. You're like, okay, would I get an A for that? You know, you would not think that, but it's like, was that good? Was that bad? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? And then first thing we do is go on social media and check out what other people say. And the thing is, you will always find the complete opposite of what you just did, because there's so many people and so many experts.
Differently for everyone.
Exactly.
So many approaches.
Exactly. So everybody will say something different. But if you are wired to look for that external validation, you will always be on social media thinking, oh, but he's doing that, so I need to do that too. And then you're completely ignoring what you actually might know is the truth for you, like you with your goal setting and stuff, right? And when it comes to work, there's also societal conditioning that comes with it too, that makes it super hard. That work-life balance is technically not possible with the way that we look at productivity and success right now. Because as a society, we think productivity means that you need to do more and you need to do better all the time. And once you have done more and once you have done better, guess what? You need to do more and you need to do better.
Yeah.
It's a linear thing. It doesn't even include rest. There's no rest, because if you rest, if you're sitting down for a minute, you're lazy. You're not contributing to society. What the F are you doing, you know? So that's why, like, work-life balance, being slower with goals, resting, all of these things seem impossible because on a societal level, it's not accepted.
Or
It's not accepted. So I guess like this is also something, this overwork, overthinking, scheduling yourself to the fullest, doing too many things. It eventually leads to what? Burnout. And like I guess we all know what burnout is, right? But the most important question.
I don't think all of us know what burnout is. I think.
Okay, then let's talk about it.
I mean, I personally don't think I've ever experienced burnout. And I think like burnout as like, because there's burnout that everyone talks about, like, oh, I'm so burnt out. And actually it's like, you're just stressed and tired and you didn't sleep enough. But then there's burnout that's like, you're in the hospital, right?
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
you get like a clinical diagnosis of burnout.
True, I think the term is quite overused nowadays.
Yeah, it is overused because there's different stages of burnout. And you already
Also,
like described it super well. Like there's this final stage where you're like in the hospital, you can't move.
Yeah.
You literally need to take a couple of months out of your life to actually reconnect with your humanness and everything and what drives you and stuff. And then there's also this like, I'm fatigued, I have sleep issues. Those are the signs that you are moving
towards
that. So you need to know these signs and take that into account. And if it's happening, like rethink your approach to work and life, like seriously, because so maybe to explain burnout properly, like burnout in the simplest way of explanation is when you're mentally, physically, emotionally drained and exhausted for a prolonged period of time because of stress, right? So if you don't give your body and your mind the time to regulate, to calm down, you will be stressed all the time. You will be in fight or flight mode all the time. And that is where you're going to have that exhaustion that prolongs, like that is extended over a certain amount of time. So if you don't give your body the time to like regulate your hormones, regulate your metabolism, clearing waste in your brain, like it's doing all of these things when you're resting and when you're sleeping. If your brain doesn't have the time, or if your body doesn't have the time to do that, guess what? You're not going to be healthy for a really long time. And you're going to see all of these signs, like even on a body, like on a physical level, but you're also going to see signs on a behavioral level, on a mental, emotional level too. So yeah, it's basically if you're stressed over a longer period of time and you don't get to have that calming down period, that's where you're going to be so mentally, emotionally, physically exhausted that you can check in a burnout clinic.
Yeah, I think in my case, it didn't went to the burnout clinic, but I think it was on the edge. Like I experienced, of course, like mental overload and like in general being super overwhelmed mentally, but also at some point I started to experience also physical, side effects of the burnout. Like I was nauseous daily, like for weeks. And then when I was calling to a doctor, she was like, have you been stressed lately? And I'm like, 100% of my time. Like I remember I was working in London at this innovation consultancy, and I remember leaving on Friday from the office, and Saturday and Sunday I would be obsessing and overthinking about coming back to the office on Monday. I didn't have days without thinking how much I don't want to go there. Fun. And my question would be, like in my case, what I did was I quit the job, and actually that's how I moved to Austria. Ooh. And I wanted to take like some time off for myself and like a few months to reset, because at that point I couldn't apply for any other jobs. Like I was done completely. And at that point I thought my best case scenario would be to have complete downtime for myself, but it was not the case in the end. I was feeling even worse. because I came to a country that I don't know. I don't have any friends here. It's a different language. It was autumn and it was raining. I was like, what the heck am I doing here with all of this time and with like all of this emptiness? And I felt even worse than during the burnout. Like, how do you approach these things? Like, what are you supposed to do in?
Yeah. First question, why did you come here in autumn? No, just kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
So
bad timing.
no, but I love that you just asked that, because I think that's one of the misconceptions about burnout is like when you burn out, what you need to do is lay down and not get up for like 6 months.
Yeah.
That's the opposite. Like, yes, of course, give yourself the time. But there are certain things that brought you to that burnout. It's a way of working that wasn't sustainable, and it's a way of thinking that wasn't sustainable. So you need to ask yourself certain questions when you are in that burnout stage. Like, what is actually important to me? What are my values? What do I want in life? Because the thing is, one clear sign that you're moving to burnout is when you are over-identifying yourself with your work. When you're tying your whole self-worth to work, when you have nothing else but work, 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 business, 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 career, career, career. And when I ask you, so what is something that you're learning that has nothing to do with your career? Or when I ask, what are your hobbies? Or like, what do you do outside of your work? They're like, what do you mean? Like,
Nothing.
I don't know.
And
it's so not frustrating, but it's so sad for me how many people cannot answer the question.
Yeah.
They don't have a long list of stuff they get energy by, you know, that is not from their work, or that, you know, a long list of hobbies or things they want to try in life, even though there's like a million cool things that you could do on this planet. But yeah. So what you need to do is to think about all of these things and figure out what even brought you to burnout. Was it because you tied all of your self-worth to work and you had nothing else? Was it because you felt guilt and shame when you would rest? How did you work? What was your sustainable rhythm? Rhythm. What was your rhythm? It wasn't sustainable, otherwise you wouldn't have burnout. But usually what happens is, I met somebody, she also burned out. So what she did is she also took time and she traveled, and she just took it very lightly and, you know, calmed down and had a lot of time for rest and traveled. And then she went right back into work, did the same thing again, burn out again.
Yeah.
Burn out again, because she didn't ask herself these questions. She didn't think about, what do I need to change? How does my approach needs to change? Because guess what? If you burn out once, magic doesn't exist. Like, you have to change something about your approach. Yeah.
Do you, because I think a lot of this is not just applicable to people who have burnout, but also people who are just kind of like confused about what they want to do with their life, right? And like, I think this applies to a lot of young people. So, you know, answering these questions, it's like, yeah, I can ask myself, like, what are my values? Or like, what do I want to get out of life? But those are also like big questions, and they're pretty daunting. So are there frameworks or tools or exercises that help you figure that out? And, you know, that might also be just like working with a coach or working with a therapist, right? But, you know, also some people can afford that. So like anything kind of, you know, actionable that like a person like me could do at home?
Yeah. So do you want it to be burnout related, or do you want it to be these questions related?
I think these questions related.
Okay, these questions related. So for values, there's amazing exercises that you can also find on YouTube or on Google. Like, just put in like how to figure out values exercise or something like that, and try out different exercises. I would do different exercises with my coaching clients in my programs. But that one is super, super important, that you're getting clear on your values, because you can always assess whether something is working or not based on your values. If you're feeling unfulfilled in a way, you can, you know, have your values and be like, okay, well, obviously I'm not fulfilling this 1 or 2 or 3 values. Of course I'm not happy. The whole life vision question, there's some super cool like journaling prompts that you can try, but there's also some meditations on YouTube that you can try. What I do want to say with this is, I know people put a lot of pressure on this question. That's why they don't want to answer it. but I want to remove the pressure and say, you can change your life vision at any point. Just because now you want to become an astronaut, it doesn't mean that can change.
In 5 years, you want to still be an astronaut. Yeah, of course.
Sure.
I mean, we are developing creatures, so we change all the time.
Who do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah. No, I think it's always, this question is so daunting because we feel like we have to decide and we have to stick to it.
Yes.
That's also based on society, right? Because that's how it used to be.
Yes.
Like you pick one study program and you pick one occupation and you're going to stay a teacher
Until
for the rest of
pension.
your life.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works anymore. That's not how our world works anymore. We have so many possibilities and so many opportunities. It's almost impossible for you not to have any other interests or any other passions or any other areas that you want to look into. So allow yourself to ask that vision question for now. What would excite me for now? What kind of life would maybe not fulfill me? I think fulfill is also a strong word, but what would make me feel peaceful or calm or like whatever you want to feel? Maybe that could be a good first question too. How do you want to feel on a daily basis? And then backtrack from that feeling. Okay, if I want to feel peaceful, what are all the things that bring me peace?
Driving a race car. No.
That could totally be a thing. Could totally be a thing. Right when you feel peaceful afterwards.
And basically include them actively in your life.
Yes, but you can also ask more questions about that, right? Like, what kind of job or what kind of aspects of a job or what kind of tasks in a career would bring me peace, for example? Like, you could backtrack this to all of the areas in your life, basically. Maybe that makes it easier. And then, of course, there's also these typical questions like, do you know the miracle morning question?
No.
It's like...
I'm writing all these down.
Yeah, definitely. We can do a coaching session right after, like a 3-hour intensive.
Hell yeah.
So basically how it works is you pretend you're going to bed and everything is as normal. And then during the night, something magical happens and your problems just fall off. Like whatever you're struggling with right now, it doesn't exist anymore. And then the question is, when you wake up, how do you know that this miracle, this magical thing has happened? How do you know? Like, what happens during the day? How do other people perceive you? How are you feeling when you get up? What does that day actually look like?
That's tight. I'm going to do that after this.
It's amazing. Yeah.
That's a lot
great.
of handy advices.
Yeah.
And then also looking into time management and energy management, because usually what people tend to do, I don't know, at school, at university, work, doesn't matter. When you have a lot to do or when you feel like you don't catch up, you start to pressure yourself even more. You start to run after tasks even more. You start to overfloat your schedule with a million of tasks. And then, it doesn't work. Then you burn out.
Yeah.
So what would you say about this time management? And also you talk a lot about energy. Like, how do these things play together? What is more important? Yeah,
it's so funny for me because people always think they can fix everything with better time management. But rarely anything has time management as its core problem. Rarely anything, right? If I just add one more time block to my calendar, it won't actually change the deeper rooted problems that you have when it comes to productivity or how you perceive success and stuff. That's why I moved to energy management. Time, first of all, is external. Energy is something that we have within us. Anything that's external, we can't change time. Time is passing by right now. We can't change that. But I can change my energy state right now. Right? I can literally do an exercise to calm me down, and I can do an exercise like dancing to hype me up. So you can influence energy, but you can't influence time. Also, for example, when I'm on my period and I have period cramps, my pretty pink time block in my calendar to do focused work is not going to work. Like I'm still gonna have cramps and I'm still not gonna do work. And or if I'm working and my mom calls me and she's like, Chrissy, there's a family emergency, we need you, blah, blah, blah. My Pomodoro timer is not gonna make me more efficient and productive during that time. So time management does not include humanness, it does not include seasons, and it does not include your energy. Energy management. So I basically already touched upon the linear perception of productivity, right? We always need to do more, we always need to do better. The natural energy cycle that we do have is the same as nature. Like we work in seasons. We have energy highs and we have energy lows. We have kind of like the building phase, the growth phase, the completion phase, and then the rest phase. And we have the natural rest phase again because our body and mind need that time to properly recharge and do stuff in our body so that we can properly function in these other three areas. So if we put that like on a graph, it's not linear. It's like, okay, we grow and we build and we complete, and then it goes down when we rest a little bit, and then again we grow, we build, and then it goes down. And basically you have something like this, right? And eventually this person, that's like the linear productivity approach, they will burn out because there's nothing, like at some point your body and mind are at capacity. They can help, but mentally, physically, emotionally,
it's too much
exhausted. It's too much. So there's only one way, and this is down.
Yeah.
But when you use your energy highs and lows and kind of like this approach, at some point you will not only surpass this person, but you will surpass this person feeling mentally, physically, emotionally healthy. And you still achieve your goals and you still get to enjoy your life. That's why it's so important that you understand how your energy works when you have your energy highs, when you have your energy lows, and how your body works so that you can strategically use that. When you know that, you know when to push yourself, but also when to rest and when to just accept that this is an energy low phase and that is fine. Like that's a very different, that's like embodiment, you know? That's not just mentally knowing that we need rest. Everybody knows that. We see that every day on Instagram. Everybody knows that we need to rest. But since it's not embodied, you don't understand why you need to rest. It's not a thing. So there's a lot of tools that impact your energy flow, your energy highs and your energy lows. There's, for example, I mentioned the circadian rhythm already. The circadian rhythm is the 24-hour pattern, like when you're supposed to wake up and you're supposed to go to sleep and stuff. Part of that is the chronotype. It's this typical question of, are you a morning person or are you a night person? This is a stupid question because... Okay, no, let's backtrack a little bit. So all of our systems, right? The school system, the university system, the way we work is based on one chronotype, the morning person, right? We all are wired to get up early in the morning because we need to seize the day and like whatever. We have so many German sayings about how you need to get up early. So many influencers that say you need to have a 5 a.m. morning routine and stuff. But that is all based on the morning person, which only relates to 10% of the whole population.
Amazing.
And then we don't even have, like we not only have the morning and the night person, we also have two types in between that nobody talks about. Like it's actually, we have 4 different chronotypes and they correlate to animals because it's easier. Like there's the dolphin, there's the wolf, there's the bear and the lion. The lion is the morning person, right? It's the one that gets most energized in the morning. But the rest of them, they don't get energized in the morning. They don't have their best energy in the morning. I'm a bear, for example. It doesn't matter when I get up. I just need time to get going. Like my brain just doesn't work. If I got up and had a meeting right away, I would be like delusional, I guess. I would be grumpy as fuck. Like I would not function. My most productive time is between like 9, 10-ish. Until like 1 p.m.-ish, and then I need a longer break, and then I'm functioning, oh my God, I can't talk, again, between like 4 and 6 p.m. And again, it doesn't mean that you can't work in energy low phases, it just means, why wouldn't you use your natural like energy high phases? That's just one example. And then there's the dolphin that kind of like works similar. They have their most energetic or most productive hours during like midday. But they also have sleep issues. That's why they need more time in the morning. And then there is the wolf, which is a typical night person. And I think that's the most underestimated person, because our society is so focused on the morning person, so that they feel like for them it's the complete opposite, right? But they feel like they can't really live with their energy because they need to be morning people, which is crap. Like, that's crap. Like, give yourself time to experiment with your natural energy cycle, because again, if the morning people are only 10 to 20% of the population, 80 to 90% of the population don't even know what it means to be efficient and productive. They don't even know what it means to work with their energy. They have not experienced that yet because they were crammed into a system that didn't work for them and they didn't even know. They were just trained to be productive and efficient during that time.
And now they're trying to basically fit in, even though they're not using full potential.
Exactly.
And then, like, if somebody would want to start energy management, I don't know, tomorrow, what would they, what should be their first step? Something like, not super complicated, something easy, something attainable, you know, like even like, I don't know, a person who is at school right now can do.
I love this question because it's the easiest thing you can do.
Perfect.
Like, seriously,
Martin,
it's so easy. It's like, write them now. It's like 2 minutes before you go to bed. That's literally how I did my own energy tracking experiment. Okay, so this is coming from like my experience, what I did, because I want it to be easy and simple. So 2 minutes before you go to bed, you take a pen and you take a sheet of paper or your notes app or like whatever feels comfortable, and you ask yourself, what was my average amount of energy today from a scale of 1 to 10? What was my average mood today from a scale of 1 to 10? What amplified my energy today and what drained my energy today? And then best case is you pick one of the tools that impact your energy. That might be your circadian rhythm, that might be your sleep, that might be your relationships, social life, that might be your female cycle, that might be something astrological, oh my God, I mean spiritual, like astrology, human design. There's a lot of things that also tell you more about your energy cycle. So if you're spiritual, you can also add those, but there's also more like science-backed stuff. So there's so many tools. You just pick one that you experiment with for a couple of months. Let's say, for example, the circadian rhythm. So you ask yourself, okay, did I use my window today for my most productive hours? And how did that feel? Did I feel more productive? On that note, I do want to say, when you are trying this out for the first couple of weeks, you might feel more tired because your body takes a lot of energy to redo your whole schedule, right? It's a different 24-hour window that you're going to work with. So you need to give your body the space to properly change that and adapt to it. So that data will only be reliable after like 1 or 2 months.
So you need some time for that.
Yeah. And especially the energy tracking experiment in general, you need to do that for a couple of months, because the next most important step. So you do that every night. Of course, you're human. So let's say every other night when there's times when you forget, that's fine. But the more data you have, the best it's going to be.
Yes.
So in a couple of months, I would say best case would be 4, 5, 6 months from now, you have a day where you sit down and you reflect on your data. So you're going to have all of this data, and I can guarantee you will spot the patterns. You will know the day, the week, the month, the time when your energy is lower, when your energy is higher. You will see that once you actually had a restful weekend, your energy was up the roof. And with all of this, you are creating proof in your brain. So you're not only mentally understanding why you need rest, but you literally see it in the data. You're like, yeah, exactly. And then you're also seeing this one behavior, social media, Instagram, that is constantly draining your energy, right? Or you're seeing that one person who's draining your energy. And some of these things you might mentally know, but you don't have the proof. You don't think about it. You don't have the proof. But when you see it black and white, you're like, okay, I need to change this because this is affecting me. And you also figure out the amazing stuff, right? You figure out what are the small things that bring me energy. Some people can't answer that question. Like the first question that you asked me, I think some people don't really know that.
Totally.
They haven't thought about that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of these things, like a million things.
Bachata.
Bachata. Yeah, because I have been thinking about this and because I've been tracking this, I know what brings me energy.
Yeah.
And that's why I can strategically implement those things on an energy low day when I still need to function.
Yeah.
That is also one thing that I want to say when you start tracking these things. Don't get too obsessed with what's an energy low and what's an energy high phase. You can still, of course, work in all of the phases. It will just feel different. So I just want you to have a better understanding of how your body works and how your energy works and what you need on a day that is lower in energy for you to feel like, you know what, today I don't need to be perfect and I don't need to do all of these things. And of course, I'm not going to get 10 million things of my to-do list done because I am in an energy low phase and that's okay. But then, of course, I was in an energy low phase, for example, on my period. I was on stage speaking. And I can't just move that. They didn't want to move Banska Nomad Fest just because I'm on my period, you know? So I still went there. I still went on stage and I still talked in front of hundreds of people. And I could do that because I knew how to take care of myself during that day. Like I just needed more alone time right after. I needed a longer nap after. I needed a hype up energy session right before. And because I knew all of these things, I could do it in my like usual energy. But I would say like 2 weeks after in my like summer phase of my period, that would have been completely different. Like I would have been surrounded by people all day. I would love to like network. I would be even more energized on stage because I have that natural energy for communication being on stage.
Yeah.
So you just need to know how to take care of yourself on these days and during energy low phases.
So basically, after we tracked all of this, our energy for 2 months or 3 months, you said best case scenario is like 4 months. Then you sit down, you see the patterns, you notice, okay, like what drains your energy. What would be the next tangible steps? Like how do you actively realize what to take out, what to take in? Also, especially if you have very rigid schedule, like I don't know, at school kids have schedule that they cannot really shift, right? Or if somebody works 9 to 5,
like I'm taking a nap, you know, like
kids, I'm taking off from my role as a mom.
Or like I don't know, if you have your own business, maybe it's a little bit more easy, right? How do you implement it?
Super easy. Because most of the things
I like how everything is
like it's,
I want to live in your head.
Me too.
Sorry.
No,
I think I've just been doing this for so long.
It's your bread and butter, of course.
Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is you continue doing that. And then you're adding different tools because you need to understand how all of these things are affecting your energy, because it's not just the circadian rhythm that determines when you're most productive, but it's like other things too. It's going to help you to understand your humanness and to understand your seasons. And again, to understand when to push and when not to push. So you keep doing that and you're just adding different tools. But the tangible thing of that is when you sit down and you reflect on it and you're thinking about, okay, where are the patterns, right? Like where are my energy drainers? Where are my energy amplifiers? You take action on that, right? You write a list of your energy amplifiers and you think about, okay, how can I implement this during my day? When I have a day full of meetings, well, how about I implement one of these energy amplifiers? Because again, except for dancing bachata, most of the things that I mentioned, they don't take a lot of time. I can literally go to my friend and ask for a hug. I can literally do a dance session right before a meeting, right? Maybe I can call a friend and ask her a deeper question right before me. I could do that. I mean, I could try that. I've never tried that, but I could. Hey, by the way, what are you doing? And what's the meaning of life? Okay, so my friend is prepared now. No, but basically your energy amplifiers, they won't take a lot of time. Like I can 100% guarantee that you will have some that won't take a lot of time that you can strategically implement. And once you embody these tools too, you won't have to think about it. Like these tools I already do, like when I'm in the line for, at the cashier for the grocery shopping. I do that on a park bench. I do that whenever I feel like I need it or I want to do it. I just have those. I don't think about it. I naturally do it. But it's because I have been training myself to do that. Same thing for energy drainers. You write a list of your energy drainers and you think about, okay, how can I reduce those energy drainers? Best case would be, how can I let go of the energy drainers? I deleted Instagram, for example. I deleted Instagram off my phone.
Yeah.
That's
Same.
not rest, by the way.
That's why I couldn't reach her in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Like I occasionally check it on my laptop and stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, there's still content on my Instagram page, but I don't need to be in Instagram to post that. But for me, that's not real rest. But that's a different conversation that we can have. But basically, for all your energy drainers, think about how you can let go, how you can reduce it. Do you have to have the conversation with that person, you know, stuff like that, because it's your life, it's your energy. Like if you have proof that this is affecting you, you got to take action on that. So it's just about looking at the data and taking action according to the data. What do you see? And sometimes the action is also, okay, actually, I don't see any patterns just yet. I'll give it 1 or 2 more months. And then think about that. For me, again, as you said, I have my own business. I'm single. I don't have a family. Like for me, it was super easy to make those changes. I completely changed how I socialize with people. Like when I go to networking events, when I have to communicate with people that I might be irritable and stuff. I literally have that might be a bit too intense, but I do have a manual, like a 3-step thing for people when they are around me, when I'm like 2 days before my period, because I know that I can be like, I have mood swings and I might get hangry actually.
Yeah.
So I do, communicate with people like, hey, I'm currently in this period. If this and this happens, here are the things, just so you know. So that's a different way of socializing and communicating. And then in my business, I changed my office. Basically, for me, when you work with me or when you are in a group coaching program or like one-on-one or any kind of training, you won't get calls every week, because there's this 1 week where I'm just like super low energy, where I'm not functioning 100%, where I just want some days without any calls. And I'm very open about that. So you'll get like 3 calls or like more calls in another week, but there's this one specific week or these one specific days where I'm intentionally trying to not have as many calls, and it has worked really well.
Makes sense. Actually, like I would like to ask you about the cycles that female have, right?
Yes.
And how, unfortunately, the world of school, business, most of the areas in our lives are built around men. How do you see that? How do you, do you have your own structure around the cycle? How do you advise the people you work with to structure their cycle? Why is it important?
Yeah. So the female cycle is the most underestimated tool for women and for men, by the way. This is super important for everybody to know. Everything that we do now, all the systems, again, university, school, the way we work, the way we perceive productivity, success, also sports, movement, everything is based on the hormonal changes of men. Like you guys have a 24-hour hormonal pattern. So whatever happens like every day in the same kind of function. That's why consistency, the daily consistency that we know, is based on that. There has been a lot of research on the hormonal changes of men and how that impacts you, but there hasn't been research. Now they're starting, but there's not a lot of research on the female cycle. So basically all the advice that you hear that includes daily consistency and all of those things, how to eat, how to move, it's all based on the 24-hour hormonal cycle of men, which is not productive for a woman, because our cycle is not 24 hours, it's 28 days. 28 days.
Yeah, it's quite a difference.
So whatever you feel during the day, we feel during 4 different phases, during 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And for some women, it's even longer, right? The 28 days is just an average, but some people also feel it on 30 days, 31 days. Every cycle is different.
Yeah.
But basically what's happening, to explain this easily, is there's 4 phases. They're not each a week long. They have different lengths, but you could say it's 4 weeks that correlate to the seasons as well.
Yeah.
So I always like to use the seasons because it's easier to understand. So we have the first season that's kind of spring. It's when it's right after the period, when we have more ongoing energy and we feel like a newborn and we're like, oh my God, I want to do all of these things. And so the hormonal effect on the brain is one of newness. So we want to try new things. We want to get out in the world. out and like show ourselves and do stuff and take action. And it's just like, yeah, it's a super nice energy.
Yeah.
And then we have the summer phase, ovulation phase. It's the like, phase, you know, like it's the, I'm great, I'm amazing, everything is working out for me. It basically hits the social and communication centers in your brain. So anything that comes to networking, communication, socializing, being on social media, doing Instagram lives, podcasts, yes. I am in my summer phase right now.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
I think I can see that.
Thanks. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so that's perfect. So everything that has to do with that is in the summer phase. And then we have fall phase. This is the tricky phase. It's the longest phase as well. In the beginning, you might feel like you have more energy, but towards the end of the phase, there's so many changes happening in the body that you feel more tired, you feel irritable, you might have mood swings. Some women experience PMS, different symptoms.
Yeah.
So it's tough. From personal experience, I can say I have 2 days where mentally I'm really in a negative loop spiral. And I'm a positive person and I know all of the tools and I have all of these tools. But even with the tools during during those 1 or 2 days, all I can do is being compassionate with myself.
Yeah, because this is how you feel in the moment.
Exactly. This is how I feel in the moment and it's fine. I can have a shitty day. That's okay. I can eat the chocolate. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to get myself to be efficient or productive because I know literally 4 days later, I'm going to be all over the place again. And that's why I'm like, I have the peacefulness, like the peace and the calmness to be like, cool, I'm going to give myself the day. It's just a shitty day and it's fine. And I can communicate it with other people and ask for what I need on that day if I'm meeting them.
And how do you then, like knowing in which phase you are, implement it in your day? Like, do you have less meetings on one of the weeks and another week you are planning more communication activities and so on?
Yeah. So before that, maybe just quickly about the winter phase as well.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Like this is,
I already...
like this is where we're like naturally lower in energy because, you know, we're bleeding. There's so many things happening in our body.
I missed the most important phase.
Yeah, we don't want to be around people. What I do want to say, there is a misconception that when we are on our period, we're not supposed to do anything. That's also not true because everybody is different.
Yes.
There's people who regain their energy already on day 3, day 4, whatever. Every cycle is so different. That's why, again, like what I'm saying here is very general. You have to track your own energy and see how this applies to you. But just generally said, this is the phase where we should take time for ourselves and like taking things slower, doing more behind the scenes tasks, not really being in somebody's face, having people next to you, all of these things.
Nice that I'm here then.
Yeah, and about your question, so I track my cycle. I do this with an app, and hopefully soon I'm gonna have a smart ring too to track this as well because I'm obsessed with that kind of data.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I track it, and I also feel it now because I've been tracking it for so long. I just know, like I know my signs. For example, yesterday I had a meeting and coaching training until like 9 p.m. Afterwards, I was like, let's go dance bachata or like meet a friend or like, dude, it was raining, so I still stayed inside. But like I had that energy, right? But a week before, I was like, oh my God, it's 9 and I had this like super long training. I just want to sleep. You know, there's like 2 very different energies.
Yeah.
It's not the same every week for me and for all the women. And that's also important to know for you guys because you have women in your life, whether that's your mom, your sister, your friend, your girlfriend, your wife, whatever. But when you know that their emotions are different every week, their energy is different every week, their sex drive is different every week, super important too, that changes.
Yeah.
Like the way they need movement and nutrition is different every week. And once you know that, you also kind of understand why are they so different today? Like what's happening? It's just because we're going through a longer cycle. Yeah,
and I also wanted to ask Martin, like, I think at our organization, at Social Impact Award, there are a lot of ladies and we are quite open with our energy, with when we're on a period, like we communicated openly. And how was your experience, Martin, with this topic?
I mean, I generally think that I'm quite educated because I have a girlfriend who's also very in touch with these things and read a lot of books. And then also, I think we have a very progressive culture as an organization that has 17 people and 13 of them are women.
Yeah.
So obviously there is kind of a majority, but I do think it's very open. It kind of expands your perspective because obviously if you're in organizations, or if you're like a student and you're spending a lot of time with people of like your gender, you're oftentimes not really exposed to those kinds of dynamics, and it definitely takes some readjustment because also like I think on both sides, like women when they're young, they don't necessarily know these things, so then they can't communicate it openly, but then guys also don't know that these things are happening, so then they're just like, well, why is this changing all the time? Because they just don't have that. And also we're not really taught about this properly in school. Like these are not topics that we really touch on.
Like this would be so important, and especially like I just see so much potential in combining the 24-hour cycle and a 28-day cycle. We could create so many cool like working models
100%.
that allow both genders to rest more, but also be more productive and efficient in their own ways. Like what we do now is just not working, and that's why I'm so passionate about you can create your own balance between ambition and enjoying life and resting. Your balance will look different than yours, and it looks different than mine, and that's okay. But like there is a way, because we do have these natural tools that already show us the way, kind of like. And I just want to stress too, again, it's not about, okay, I'm laying down during my period and I'm not doing anything. But I have the tools and the awareness, like I can accept my humanness, and I know what I can do to amplify my energy or to work with that kind of energy if I have to do something that's important, right? Sometimes there's meetings that we can't postpone. There's trainings that I get hired for trainings. I can't just say, oh, I'm
bad phase.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes we just have to function because that's the world that we are in, unfortunately. And I understand that not everybody has the privilege to just move everything around and, postpone everything. So I just want to be realistic with this too. Like it's about knowing and having the tools and exercises for you so that you can be efficient and productive, but also rest in those phases.
Yeah, that's I think a very nice kind of roundup as we're coming to the end, and we like to, when we close it off, just go into a little bit more of a fun direction. So I do have two. Actually, I do have one question. Let's do this one about the field of energy management and mental health and these kinds of things. Do you have a hot take?
A hot take?
Yeah.
On energy management?
Yeah, energy management or sort of auxiliary fields, connected to it. Also some of the things that we might have spoken about today.
Can you rephrase the question?
Sure,
what do you mean with hot take?
With hot take, so something that might be counter to the sort of general population's understanding of the topic, right?
Oh, yes, of
something
course.
that maybe might be an unpopular opinion, for example.
Yes. Okay, maybe not an unpopular opinion, but a misconception 100%. Burnout has nothing to do with the hours that you work. Like, yes, it can be a factor, but you could literally have a calendar full of nothingness and you could still burn out. Because as I said in the beginning, burnout is a state of like mental, emotional, physical fatigue, exhaustion because of prolonged stress. And stress can happen in all of our areas. It can happen because of your relationship. It can happen because of financial worries, because of lack of purpose, because you have to take care of your parents, but then you also have to take care of your family, right? And all of that piles up. And if you don't get to rest and calm down and give your body and mind the time, you will also burn out. So it's not only happening at the workplace. And I want people to understand that, because I feel like we live in a culture where we're like, oh, that happens to other people. Like same with like cancer, depression, like whatever you want to talk about. We always think, oh, it's going to happen to other people. It's not going to happen to us. But if you see signs, like take action. You need to rethink your approach to work because it's not going to magically get better.
Yeah. And that can be also very difficult.
Yeah.
And one last one to close off, that's maybe a bit more reflective. I don't know how old you are, but I don't expect that you're 45. So I'm just wondering, like, do you have, because you started quite young, do you, even still being young, have advice for what you would tell yourself 6 years ago, or I don't know how, when you kind of started thinking about this, maybe also when you were in a phase of depression too at 16 years old? Is there anything that you would kind of tell yourself with the lived experiences that you have now and some of the wisdom that you have now?
Honestly, what I would say is know your values, know what matters to you in life, know your vision if that is in alignment with you, and just keep going. No matter what, and keep going in a sustainable way that allows you to, again, take strategic action, but also nap and dance and whatever brings you energy, because we do have time. We do have time, and good stuff always takes time. If you want to have an impact and if you want to create a business, start something big, it will take way longer than you think to acquire the skills and to build something like successful according to society. So maybe that's also one thing, like redefine success for yourself too, and then just keep going, no matter how boring or how low some phases are, and no matter what other people say, no matter how often you get rejected, just keep going and remind yourself of values, vision, and what matters to you.
Amazing. Thank you, Christine.
Thanks
that was
a lot.
great.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I think this
Thanks
wraps it up. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I think entrepreneurship's a skill you learn, in my opinion. Like, as I said, I knew I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. How to be one, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I had to learn by doing.
Figure it out.
So it wasn't necessarily just about innovation. It was about the resilience of just being like, let's try.